My sister Vanessa announced she was the executor the way she announced everything, like the room belonged to her. We were still standing in my grandfather's kitchen, the air heavy with the smell of stale coffee and sympathy casseroles, when she set a manila folder on the table and said, "I've already started handling the estate." No one asked her to. No one voted. She just said it, smiling like she'd been waiting for Grandpa's chair to empty. My aunt's eyes flicked to me, then away. My mother kept her hands folded, quiet in that cowardly way people get when conflict might splash on them. Vanessa leaned toward me and lowered her voice. "You'll get what you're given," she whispered. "Don't make this ugly." I didn't argue. I didn't give her a fight she could twist into a story later. I just looked at the folder. On top was a document with a bold title and a seal that looked official enough to fool anyone who wanted to believe her. Letters, testamentary. My name wasn't on it, Vanessa's was. She tapped it once with a manicured fingernail. "See? Court appointed." Then she slid her phone out and started typing like she was doing me a favor. "I'm calling the bank next," she said aloud. "I'm freezing accounts until I decide what's distributed." I kept my face still, but my stomach tightened, because Grandpa didn't trust Vanessa with a spare key, let alone an estate. He used to say it plainly right in front of her, like he was describing the weather. "Vanessa loves money more than she loves people," he'd say, calm as stone. Vanessa would laugh like it was a joke. It never was. She started moving through the kitchen like she was inventorying it, opening drawers, glancing into cabinets, checking the lock on Grandpa's office door. "Make sure nobody takes anything," she said loud enough for the room. "Executors have a duty." My hands stayed by my sides. My voice stayed even. "Which court?" I asked. Just one question, clean. Vanessa's smile tightened for a fraction of a second. "Probate division," she said quickly. "Downtown." "Case number?" I asked. Her eyes flashed. "It's in the paperwork," she snapped. "You don't need to interrogate me." I nodded once like I accepted that. I didn't. I stepped into the hallway, pulled out my phone, and did what I always do when Vanessa performs. I documented. I took a photo of the folder cover, a photo of the letters, a photo of her name, typed as executor. I zoomed in on the seal, at the date, the signature line. Then I opened my notes app and wrote a single line, "Verify with bank before speaking to anyone else," because Grandpa had always kept one part of his life separate from family noise, his trust department, his bank. He used to tell me, "Banks don't care who cries. They care what's signed." Vanessa came into the hallway behind me, voice sweet again. "Don't be dramatic," she said softly. "I'm trying to keep this from becoming a mess." I looked up slowly. "Then it shouldn't be hard to show me the real court filing," I said. Her face hardened. "You want to fight," she said. "No," I replied. "I want the record." Her jaw tightened. "Fine," she said and leaned closer, breath sharp. "Go waste your time. They'll tell you what I told you." She walked away like she'd already won. I didn't go back into the kitchen. I didn't wait for her to call the bank and poison the story first. I drove straight to Cedar Hollow Bank, the branch where Grandpa had his estate accounts and his safe deposit box. The lobby was quiet in that polished way money always is. Clean glass, muted voices, pens chained to counters like, "Trust is dangerous." I walked up to the front desk and set my ID down. "My grandfather passed," I said calmly. "Harold Mercer. I need to speak to someone in estate services." The receptionist's expression shifted. Professional sympathy, then recognition. "One moment," she said and picked up the phone. A minute later, a woman in a navy blazer appeared and held out her hand. "Julia Sato," she said. "Trust in Estates. Come with me." Her office was small, private, and soundproof in the way banks prefer when the truth might get loud. She didn't offer me water. She offered me a chair and a screen. "Tell me what you need," she said. I placed my phone on the desk, opened the photo of Vanessa's letters, and slid it toward her. "My sister is claiming she's the executor," I said evenly. She's already telling family she's freezing accounts and distributing assets. Julia's eyes didn't widen. They narrowed. "Did you receive any official notice from the court?" she asked. "No," I said. "Only what she waved around." Julia nodded once, turned to her computer and typed quickly. "I'm going to pull the estate file we have on record," she said. "If probate has issued letters, we'll see it. If it's a trust administration, we'll see that too." I kept my hand still in my lap. My voice stayed calm. "Please show me whatever identifies the real executor," I said. Julia clicked through a few screens, then paused. Not long, just long enough to feel it. Then she turned the monitor slightly toward me. "Ms. Mercer," she said quietly, "that's not the executor." My pulse stayed steady, but my skin went cold. Julia tapped the screen once. "The executor on file is listed as Maya Mercer." Me. My sister's name wasn't anywhere near the roll. I didn't let myself exhale yet. I didn't want relief. Relief makes people sloppy. "Can you show me the document that establishes that?" I asked. Julia nodded and clicked into another tab. "This is the estate directive packet your grandfather filed with us," she said. "We keep copies for verification and fraud prevention." Fraud prevention. She opened a scanned page, then another. Her expression changed in a way that wasn't about paperwork anymore. She went quiet. But then she clicked one more page and stopped completely, eyes fixed on the screen like she'd just stepped on a wire. "What?" I asked. Julia didn't answer immediately. She lowered her voice as if the office walls might repeat it. "This changes everything," she whispered. She angled the monitor toward me. At the top of the page was a bold internal header and a short note beneath it, something banks don't write unless something already happened. Account alert. Do not release information to Vanessa Mercer. Prior impersonation attempt. Preserve footage. My throat tightened. Julia's hand hovered over the mouse. "Ms. Mercer," she said softly, "your sister is not just not the executor." She swallowed once, then continued. "She's already tried to impersonate someone in this estate file before." Julia didn't say it like gossip, and she said it like a firewall. She clicked into the alert and opened an internal incident log that had dates, timestamps, and short notes written in the blunt language banks use when they don't want ambiguity. "Before I show you," she said, "I need to verify you." "I'm here," I replied, and slid my ID closer. She scanned it, compared it to her screen, then nodded once. "Okay," she said. "Now, look." She turned the monitor toward me. A line at the top read, "Impersonation attempt. Estate file. Prior contact." Below it, date, last month. Time, early afternoon. Location, this branch. Reported by teller station. 2. Subject, Vanessa Mercer. Claim, I'm the executor / I have court papers. Request, account information plus safe deposit access. Result, denied plus security preserved footage plus risk notified. My mouth went dry, but my voice stayed even. So she came here before Grandpa even passed. Julia's eyes stayed on the screen. "Yes," she said. She claimed there was an urgent update. She tried to get ahead of the file. My stomach tightened. What did she say to convince them? Julia clicked open an attachment. A scanned document appeared, something that looked like a court letter at a glance, with a seal and a bold header. Then Julia zoomed in on the bottom corner, and her finger tapped one small line that changed the whole document. Sample, for reference, not valid for filing. It wasn't a real court order. It was a template. "She brought a sample," I said quietly. "She brought a sample and acted like it was issued," Julia corrected. "She also tried to use urgency to force a mistake." I stared at the screen, then looked up. Did she get anything? Julia shook her head. "No," she said. "But she got close enough that we flagged her permanently in the estate profile." She clicked again, and a second page opened, this one titled Restricted Party List. It wasn't long. Just 3 names, Vanessa Mercer, and, my throat tightened, my parents. Julia watched my face. "Your grandfather filed these restrictions," she said, "with us, before his death. He asked that no information be released to those individuals, not balances, not beneficiaries, not box access, nothing." My hand stayed flat on my lap. "He knew," I said. Julia didn't argue. She just nodded once. "He prepared," she said. I swallowed and forced my voice back into procedure. "Show me what identifies me as executor." Julia clicked into the directive packet again and opened a page labeled Estate Account Authorization, Executor Verification. Well, there it was in clean type, Appointed Executor, Maya Mercer. Then beneath it, an additional note. If any party presents letters naming Vanessa Mercer as executor, treat as suspected fraud and contact risk immediately. My skin prickled. "He wrote that," I said. "Yes," Julia replied quietly, "and he added something else." She opened one more page. This one wasn't typed. It was scanned handwriting in Grandpa's familiar slanted script, the kind that always looked calm even when it wasn't. Julia didn't read it out loud right away. She let me see the first line myself. "If Vanessa tries to take control, do not warn her. Call my attorney. Protect Maya." My throat tightened in a way I didn't let show. Julia tapped the bottom where an attorney's name and number were written. "Graham Lyles," she said. "Now we have him on file as the estate council contact." I nodded once. "Call him," I said. Julia's eyes flicked to mine. "I can notify him that the restricted party is attempting contact," she said. "Yes, do it," I replied, "and lock everything down." Julia didn't hesitate. She clicked into the estate profile and selected a set of controls with names that sounded boring and felt like oxygen. Information release hold box, access restriction, in-person verification, required fraud escalation. Active. She pressed confirm. Then she stood and opened her office door slightly. "Riley," she called. A man appeared in the doorway, tall, calm, with a bank security badge clipped to his belt. He didn't look like a cop. He looked like someone trained to keep chaos from becoming a scene. "Yes," Riley said. Julia spoke in a low voice. "When I need lobby coverage and preservation," she said. "Estate file, restricted party, may return." Riley nodded once and walked away without a question. I watched him go, then turned back to Julia. "Did you save footage of her last attempt?" I asked. Julia clicked once. "We preserved it," she said. "Do you want to see?" "Yes," I replied. She opened a video, still, no sound, a timestamp in the corner. Vanessa at the front desk, hair perfect, posture confident, leaning in like she owned the counter, and next to her, my mother watching. My stomach tightened, but my voice didn't change. "So it wasn't just Vanessa," I said. Julia's tone stayed flat. "No," she said. "Your mother wasn't speaking. She was there to validate, to look harmless." Vanessa in the still had a folder, same kind she'd slammed on Grandpa's kitchen table today. Julia clicked again, a second still. Vanessa pointing at the folder, mouth open mid-sentence, clearly demanding. Julia leaned closer to her screen. "We don't have audio from the lobby camera," she said, "but we do have something better." She pulled up a call record. Incoming call. Estate Services caller claimed, Vanessa Mercer topic, executor verification plus immediate freeze request. Recorded yes. Julia's eyes lifted. "She called first," she said, then showed up. My heart didn't race. It settled into something cold and clear. "Play it," I said. Julia clicked. Vanessa's voice filled the small office, crisp and practiced. "Hi, yes, this is Vanessa Mercer. I'm the executor for Harold Mercer's estate. I need you to freeze all accounts immediately. Wait, and I need access to the safe deposit box because there are documents that must be secured." Then a pause, like she was listening. Her tone sharpened. "No, you don't understand. My sister is unstable. She'll try to take things. I'm trying to protect the estate." I didn't blink. Julia stopped the recording and looked at me. "That's why your grandfather's note mattered," she said quietly. He anticipated this exact play. My voice stayed calm. "Can you export that recording?" I asked. "Yes," Julia said. "It's preserved." "And the bank will cooperate if I file a report?" I asked. Julia's expression stayed careful. "We'll cooperate with law enforcement requests," she said, "and we'll file our own internal report as well. But I need you to be prepared. Your sister is going to escalate when she realizes she can't bully this." I nodded once. "Our letter," I said. Julia's phone buzzed on her desk. She glanced at the screen and her face tightened slightly. "What?" I asked. She didn't answer with feelings. She answered with facts. "Front desk just flagged an arrival," she said quietly. "A woman asking for estate services by name." My stomach didn't drop. It hardened. Julia looked at me. "Do you want to stay back here while we handle it?" she asked. "Or do you want to be seen?" "I don't want to talk to her," I said evenly. "I want her on the record." Julia nodded once. "Then you'll stay here," she said, "and we'll let security do the talking." She stood, opened her door wider, and spoke to Riley in the hallway with a calm that sounded like policy. "Restricted party is here," she said. "Proceed." Through the glass wall, I could see the lobby now, people waiting, pens moving, phones in hands. Then Vanessa appeared at the estate counter, smiling like she'd brought flowers instead of fraud. She leaned in, voice loud enough to carry, and said the sentence she'd rehearsed for an audience. "I'm the executor. I'm here to handle my grandfather's accounts." Riley stepped into view beside the teller station, posture relaxed, hands visible, voice low. And even from where I stood, I could see Vanessa's smile falter as soon as he said the one thing she hadn't planned for. "Ma'am," Riley said calmly, "you're listed as a restricted party on this estate file." Vanessa's head snapped up. "That's impossible," she said too fast. Riley didn't argue. He just repeated it like a door code. "It's on record," he said, "and we've preserved your prior attempt." Vanessa's smile came back, thin, sharp. "Then call my sister," she said. "Oh, she'll tell you I'm authorized." Riley's tone didn't change. "Your sister is the executor on file," he said, "and she's here with identification." Vanessa went still, not because she was surprised, because she realized she'd been performing into a camera the whole time, and she hadn't come alone. My mother stepped into frame behind her, eyes flicking around the lobby like she was searching for witnesses. Vanessa leaned closer to the counter, voice dropping into a hiss, the kind that turns sweet the second someone looks over. "Tell her to come out," Vanessa snapped. Riley didn't move. "No," he said calmly, "not today." And in the silence that followed, Vanessa did what she always does when she's blocked. She pulled out her phone, turned slightly toward the waiting area so people could see her face, then started dialing like she was calling in something bigger than a tantrum. Julia stood beside me in her office doorway and said very quietly, "She's calling someone she thinks can override this." Then Riley's radio crackled once, and his voice came back low, controlled. "She just asked for police," he said. 2 officers walked into Cedar Hollow Bank like they'd been sent to calm a loud argument, not interrupt a crime. They were polite at first, hands visible, voices low, scanning the lobby the way cops do when they're trying to decide who's performing and who's actually dangerous. Vanessa brightened the moment she saw the uniforms, like she'd ordered them the way you order a pizza. "Thank God," she said loudly, turning so the waiting area could hear her. "I'm the executor of my grandfather's estate. We're in the bank is refusing to cooperate. My sister is unstable and—" Officer Ramirez lifted one hand. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "tell me what's happening without diagnosing anyone." Vanessa's smile tightened. "Fine," she said. "I'm the executor. I have court papers. They're refusing to release information, and they're hiding behind policy because my sister—" Riley, the security officer, stepped in beside the estate counter. Calm posture, no ego. "Officers," he said. "This is an estate services matter with a restricted party alert. The bank requested your presence because the individual at the counter has been flagged for prior impersonation attempts." Vanessa's head snapped toward him. "That's a lie." My mother stepped forward behind her, voice sweet like syrup. "Officers, we're just trying to protect the estate," she said softly. "When my daughter can get confused." I stayed in Julia's office, just out of sight, watching through the glass wall. My hands were still on my folder. My heart wasn't racing. It was doing that heavy, slow thing it does when I'm watching someone try to rewrite reality in public. Officer Ramirez looked between Riley and the counter. "Who called us?" he asked. Riley nodded toward Julia's office. "Estate Services did," he said. "The trust officer is inside with the account holder." Vanessa leaned in, voice rising. "Account holder," she repeated. "He's dead." Officer Ramirez didn't react to her volume. "The executor is also the person authorized to speak," he said, "and we need to verify that." Vanessa slapped her manila folder on the counter like a gavel. "Verify," she said, loud enough for the lobby. "Here, letters testamentary, court appointed. My name." Officer Ramirez didn't grab the folder. He looked at Riley first. "Is she listed as restricted?" he asked. "Yes," Riley replied. "Then she's not handling anything until we verify," Ramirez said calmly. Vanessa's eyes flashed. "You don't understand," she snapped. "My sister is trying to steal. I'm stopping her." Julia's voice came through Riley's earpiece, quiet, controlled. Riley nodded once, then said, "Officers, the bank can provide documentation that the executor on file is not Vanessa." Officer Ramirez turned toward Julia's office. "Bring the account holder out," he called. Julia appeared in the doorway first, posture steady. "Officer," she said, "before we bring her out, I need to confirm this remains calm." Vanessa laughed, sharp. "Oh, now you're scared," she said, "because you know you're wrong." Julia didn't look at her. Then she looked at the officers. "We have an internal incident log, a recorded call, and prior footage," she said. "This individual has previously attempted to access estate information by claiming she was the executor." Officer Ramirez nodded once. "Understood," he said. "Bring her out." I stepped into the lobby with my ID in my hand, not held high like a trophy, just ready. Vanessa's eyes locked on me immediately. Her smile returned, but it was wrong now. Too tight, too eager. "Maya," she said, sweet as poison. Tell them I'm helping. You're grieving. You're not thinking clearly." I didn't look at her. I looked at Officer Ramirez and kept my voice flat. "My name is Maya Mercer," I said. "Harold Mercer was my grandfather. I am the executor. My sister is impersonating the executor, and she has already attempted access to estate accounts." Vanessa scoffed loudly. "Liar." Officer Ramirez held up my ID for a quick glance, then nodded. "Okay," he said. "Do you have anything that proves you're the executor besides your statement?" Julia stepped forward with her tablet and angled it so only the officers could see the relevant header, not balances, not account numbers. "Executor designation on file," she said. "Maya Mercer." Vanessa snapped, "That's internal. That's not court." Julia's voice stayed calm. "We also have your grandfather's directive note naming the executor and restricting Vanessa," she said. "And we have a recorded call of Vanessa claiming executor status." Officer Ramirez turned slightly. "Play it," he said. Julia didn't argue. She tapped once. Vanessa's voice filled the space, clear enough that the waiting chairs heard it too. "Hi, yes. This is Vanessa Mercer. I'm the executor for Harold Mercer's estate. I need you to freeze all accounts immediately, and I need access to the safe deposit box." Then the part that made my skin prickle again, even though I'd already heard it. "My sister is unstable. She'll try to take things. I'm trying to protect the estate." Julia stopped the audio. There was a brief pause where the lobby didn't know what to do with the fact that Vanessa's own voice sounded like a script. Officer Ramirez looked at Vanessa. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "what's your full name?" Vanessa lifted her chin. "Vanessa Mercer." "Do you have ID?" he asked. Now Vanessa hesitated for half a second, just long enough to show she hated being asked. Then she pulled her license out and shoved it toward him. Officer Ramirez looked at it, then handed it back. "Okay," he said. "Now I'm going to ask you something simple. Where did you get those letters?" Vanessa laughed like the question was insulting. "From the court," she said. Officer Ramirez nodded once. "Which court?" he asked again. Vanessa's eyes flashed. "Probate, downtown, like I said." Officer Ramirez didn't move. "Case number," he said. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "It's on the paperwork." "Show me," he said. Vanessa yanked the top page out of her folder and shoved it toward him. Officer Ramirez didn't take it from her hand. He let her hold it so she couldn't later claim he stole it. He read the header. He read the seal. And then his eyes went to the bottom corner. His expression didn't change dramatically, but his focus sharpened. He handed the page back without comment and looked at Officer Bennett beside him. "Call dispatch," he said quietly. "Probate division. Verify if letters have been issued for Harold Mercer. Verify named executor." Vanessa's smile returned again, overconfident. "Go ahead," she said loudly. "They'll tell you I'm right." My mother stepped in with soft tears. "Officer, please," she said. "My girls are fighting. Vanessa is just trying to keep things from getting messy." Officer Ramirez didn't look at her. "Ma'am," he said, "step back." My mother blinked, offended. Vanessa's voice rose. "Don't talk to my mother like that." Officer Ramirez stayed calm. "Then don't bring your mother into a fraud complaint," he replied. That word, fraud, hit the lobby like a slap. Vanessa's eyes widened for half a second, then she tried to flip it. "Fraud?" she scoffed. "She's delusional." I didn't answer. I didn't defend my sanity like it was a debate topic. I opened my folder and slid one page to Julia, then to the officer, face down, controlled. "The bank has an incident log from last month," I said calmly. "My sister tried to access the safe deposit box before my grandfather even passed." Vanessa snapped. "That's not true." Julia's tone stayed flat. "It's documented," she said, "footage preserved." Officer Ramirez's radio crackled softly as dispatch came back. He put it on speaker, a dispatcher voice professional and bored in the way bureaucracy always is. "Probate confirms no letters testamentary have been issued to Vanessa Mercer for Harold Mercer's estate. Executor on file, petition pending, names Maya Mercer. If you have documents claiming otherwise, probate requests they be preserved as potential counterfeit filings." The lobby went silent. Not dramatic silence. The kind of silence where everyone's eyes moved to the same person at the same time. Vanessa didn't blink for a beat, then her face shifted into anger so fast it looked like panic. "That's impossible," she snapped. "They made a mistake." Officer Ramirez's gaze stayed flat. "No," he said. "You did." My mother made a small sound in her throat, like she'd been holding a breath and just realized it wasn't safe to exhale. Vanessa's voice rose, sharp and brittle. "This is harassment." Officer Ramirez held out his hand. "Ma'am," he said, "give me the letters." Vanessa clutched the folder tighter. "No." Officer Ramirez's tone didn't change, but the words did. "Those documents may be counterfeit," he said. "Probate requested preservation. If you refuse, I document it and we escalate." Vanessa's eyes flicked toward the doors. Officer Bennett stepped slightly to the side, not blocking aggressively, just present. Vanessa's chest rose and fell once, sharp. "Fine," she hissed, and shoved the folder toward Ramirez like she wanted it to bruise him. Officer Ramirez took it carefully, like it was evidence, not paper. He flipped to the notary section, then the signature lines, then the stamp. He didn't say what he saw yet, but his eyes narrowed. Then he looked at Julia. I need copies of your internal executor designation and the restricted party note, he said. Julia nodded once. Already prepared, she replied. Officer Ramirez looked at me. Ms. Mercer, he said, do you want to file a formal report for impersonation and attempted estate fraud? Yes, I said. Vanessa laughed, high and ugly. You're really doing this, she spat. I didn't flinch. You started it, I said quietly. Officer Ramirez turned to Vanessa again. Ma'am, he said, do you have any other copies of these documents? Vanessa's eyes darted. Too fast. And that was when Julia's phone buzzed on her desk behind the counter. She glanced at the screen, then looked up at me with a calm that didn't match what she'd just read. What? I asked softly. Julia's voice dropped. Your sister just called our trust hotline again, she said, from the lobby. She told them you're threatening her and demanded an emergency freeze. Vanessa's head snapped toward her, because she hadn't expected the bank to track her lies in real time. Officer Ramirez's gaze sharpened. She called while standing here, he said. Julia nodded once. Recorded line, she replied. Officer Ramirez exhaled slowly, then spoke into his radio. Requesting Financial Crimes Unit, he said calmly. Potential counterfeit probate documents, bank impersonation, recorded calls. Vanessa's face went pale, just slightly, then hardened again like she could will it back. My mother stepped closer to Vanessa, whispering something frantic into her ear, and I watched Vanessa lift her phone, thumb moving fast across the screen, not to call a lawyer, but to text someone else, someone she thought could still save her. Then my own phone buzzed in my pocket with a new notification from a number I didn't recognize, a single message. You don't know what you're doing. The box gets opened today. Well, I didn't reply to the message. I screenshotted it, locked my phone, and kept my face still, because I knew exactly what the box meant. Grandpa's safe deposit box, the one Vanessa had been circling like a shark since before he even passed. Officer Ramirez was already talking quietly to Julia at the counter, asking for copies and preservation. Officer Bennett stood a few steps back, watching Vanessa the way you watch someone who might bolt. Vanessa tried to regain control with volume. This is insane, she snapped, turning slightly so the waiting area could see her face. My sister is stealing my grandfather's estate, and these people are helping her. Nobody rushed to comfort her, because her own voice was on the bank's recording now, claiming executor status while standing in the lobby. Now, when the dispatcher had just said the words, counterfeit filings out loud. Julia came around the counter with a slim folder. She handed it to Officer Ramirez. Executor designation on file, she said. Restricted party directive, incident report from last month, and the recording reference. Officer Ramirez nodded, flipped through the pages quickly, then looked at me. Ms. Mercer, he said, what is in the safe deposit box that matters today? I didn't guess. I didn't dramatize. I don't know, I said calmly. But my grandfather told me not to open it until I had counsel present. He said it contained documents that would keep things honest. Vanessa's laugh cut in, sharp. Counsel, she scoffed. She's making it sound like a movie. Officer Ramirez didn't respond to her. He kept his eyes on me. Do you know if your sister has a key? He asked. I shook my head. I don't, I said, but she's been asking about it for months. Julia spoke quietly, professional. Box access requires executor verification and 2 forms of identification, she said. And in this case, the executor is Ms. Mercer. Vanessa snapped, That's not true. Officer Ramirez turned to her. Probate says you're not the executor, he said. So you don't touch anything. Understood. Vanessa's jaw clenched. Understood, she repeated, dripping contempt. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced down and I saw something flicker across her face. Urgency. She looked up at my mother and whispered fast, too quiet for the lobby, but loud enough for the mic on the security counter to catch fragments. Go now, before... My mother's eyes widened. She turned slightly toward the doors. Officer Bennett noticed. He didn't grab her. He simply stepped into her path with a calm that felt like a barrier. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "where are you going?" My mother's voice went sweet again instantly. "Bathroom," she said, smiling. Officer Bennett didn't move. "There's a restroom on this floor," he said. "That way." My mother blinked, then turned toward the hallway he indicated, annoyed that she'd been redirected. Vanessa's eyes flashed, because her little side mission had just been intercepted. Officer Ramirez's radio crackled and a new voice came back, a supervisor confirming that a financial crimes detective was en route. Julia leaned slightly toward me. "The message you received," she whispered. "Can I see it?" I handed her my phone. She read the text and her eyes narrowed. "That number," she said quietly. That's not your sister's." "No," I said. Julia handed the phone back. "We're going to log it," she murmured. Officer Ramirez watched the exchange. "Is that related?" he asked. I held my phone up. "I received a text," I said calmly. "It says, 'The box gets opened today. Unknown number.'" Officer Ramirez's expression tightened slightly. "Forward it to evidence," he said. Julia nodded. "We can attach it to the incident file," she replied. Vanessa's head snapped toward us. "Give me your phone," she hissed at me, stepping forward half a pace like she could intimidate me into deleting it. Officer Bennett moved instantly, not aggressive, just firm. "Ma'am," he said to Vanessa, "step back." Vanessa stopped, eyes burning. "She's lying," she snapped. "That's probably her friend texting to make it look like—" Officer Ramirez cut in. "That's enough," he said calmly. "You're done narrating." Vanessa's chest rose and fell once, sharp. "So what now?" she spat. "You arrest me because probate is slow." Officer Ramirez's voice stayed flat. "Counterfeit probate documents are not probate being slow," he said. "And impersonating an executor to access accounts is a crime." Vanessa scoffed. "I didn't access anything." Julia stepped forward, voice quiet but sharp. "You attempted," she said, "and we recorded it." Vanessa's smile twitched. Officer Ramirez looked at me again. "Ms. Mercer," he said, "do you want to open the box today?" I didn't answer immediately because the truth mattered. "Yes," I said finally, "but I want counsel and the bank present, and I want it recorded." Julia nodded once. "We can do that," she said. "We can have a box access officer, dual control, then a documented inventory if you request it." Vanessa's face tightened. "Inventory," she repeated like it was poison. That word meant she couldn't claim things disappeared. Officer Ramirez turned to Julia. "Schedule the opening now," he said, "and keep her restricted." Julia nodded. "We can open within the hour," she said, "but we need a state counsel." "Call him," I said. Julia was already dialing. I could hear the ring through her phone speaker. On the second ring, a man answered with a voice that sounded like someone who didn't waste words. "Graham Lyles." Julia's tone stayed professional. "Mr. Lyles, this is Julia Sato at Cedar Hollow Bank. I'm with Maya Mercer. There is an active restricted party attempt on Harold Mercer's estate file. Police are present. When we're requesting you come to the branch for safe deposit box access with the executor." There was a pause. Then Graham's voice came back colder. "I'm on my way," he said. Vanessa's face went slightly pale at the mention of a lawyer, because lawyers don't care who cries either. They care what's signed. While we waited, the lobby held its breath around us. Vanessa paced in a tight circle near the counter, trying to look like she wasn't panicking. My mother returned from the restroom hallway with a stiff smile and eyes that looked like she'd lost a step. Officer Bennett watched her closely. Then Julia leaned toward me and said something so softly I almost didn't catch it. "Ms. Mercer," she said, "someone just attempted to access the box from a different branch." My skin went cold. "What?" Julia's eyes stayed on her screen. When a call came in, she said, claiming to be you, asking for box access. They failed verification. I didn't blink. Who? I asked. Julia swallowed. They used your name, she said, but the voice didn't match your file verification, and the caller ID. She paused, eyes narrowing. It traces back to a number associated with your parents' home. Vanessa stopped pacing. My mother went still. Officer Ramirez's gaze sharpened. Because now it wasn't just Vanessa performing with fake letters. Now it was a coordinated attempt to force access to Grandpa's safe deposit box while distracting the real executor in a public lobby. Officer Ramirez spoke into his radio again, voice calm but heavier. I need that financial crimes unit here now, he said. This escalated to coordinated impersonation attempts involving the safe deposit box. Vanessa's smile returned, strained and ugly. You're all overreacting, she said. Julia didn't look at her. She looked at me. I'm sorry, she said softly. But this is exactly what your grandfather tried to prevent. And as she said it, the bank's front doors opened again. A man in a dark suit walked in with a leather briefcase, eyes scanning the lobby like he already knew where the trouble was. Graham Lyles, estate counsel. He walked straight toward us, stopped beside me, and didn't even look at Vanessa. He looked at Julia and said one sentence, calm and deadly. Let's open the box, under inventory, right now. The bank's safe deposit area was behind 2 locked doors and a hallway that smelled like metal and cold air conditioning. Julia led the way. Graham walked beside me, briefcase in hand. Officer Ramirez followed with Officer Bennett a few steps behind, their presence quiet but unmistakable. Vanessa tried to follow like she belonged there. Riley stepped in front of her smoothly. Ma'am, he said, you can't enter the vault area. Vanessa's eyes flashed. I'm the executor. Officer Ramirez didn't even turn around this time. No, you're not, he said calmly. And if you keep pushing, you'll be removed. My mother hovered behind Vanessa, lips pressed tight, eyes darting like she was calculating what could still be salvaged. Graham stopped at the second locked door and looked back for the first time. His face held no emotion, just control. Ms. Mercer, he said to Vanessa, voice flat, you are not authorized for vault access under any interpretation of the will. Vanessa scoffed. Oh, so now you're her lawyer, she snapped. I'm Harold Mercer's estate counsel, Graham replied, which means I represent the instructions he left behind, not your feelings about them. Vanessa's mouth tightened. You're all acting like I'm a criminal. Graham's tone didn't change. If you didn't act like one, he said, this would be a phone call, not a vault inventory. Julia swiped her access badge. A keypad beeped. The second door unlocked. We stepped into the vault corridor where everything felt heavier. Silence, steel, procedure. Julia moved with practiced precision. Dual control, she said. I have one key. The customer has one key. In this case, the executor. I reached into my bag and took out the small key ring Grandpa had left in a sealed envelope for me years ago with a simple note. For the day, you'll need the truth more than comfort. I held the key in my palm, and it felt warmer than it should have. Julia walked to the box number on file and paused. She looked at Graham. Inventory form is ready, she said. Graham opened his briefcase, took out a single-page document, and slid it toward Julia. This is the estate counsel instruction for inventory, he said. Photograph each item in place. Record timestamps. No one touches anything without documentation. Julia nodded once. Understood. Officer Ramirez stood a few feet back, hands visible, posture calm. This is evidence now, he said quietly. We keep it clean. I nodded once and didn't let my voice waver. Aye, clean, I repeated. Julia inserted her key. I inserted mine. The lock turned. The drawer slid out with a soft metal scrape that sounded too small for how much it mattered. Julia placed the contents tray onto a stainless steel table under bright overhead lights. No drama, just truth. Graham didn't reach in. He watched. Julia lifted the lid slowly and paused, eyes scanning the contents before moving anything. "Time," she said softly, and looked at the wall clock. Graham noted it. Then Julia began. Item 1, a thick envelope sealed with red wax. Item 2, a slim folder labeled in Grandpa's handwriting. Item 3, a small USB drive. Item 4, a second key ring with a tag. Item 5, a notarized packet bound with clips. Vanessa's voice echoed faintly from the lobby beyond the vault doors, muffled, frustrated, eye carrying through the hallway. "Tell her to open it! Tell her to show me!" Julia didn't even react. She photographed the tray. Then she reached for the red wax envelope with gloved hands, like a museum archivist. Graham leaned in slightly. "Read the outside first," he said. Julia turned it so we could see. The front had a single line in Grandpa's handwriting. "For Maya only. If Vanessa is present, do not let her read this." My throat tightened, but my posture stayed steady. Graham didn't soften. "Open it," he said. Julia broke the wax seal carefully and slid out a folded letter. She placed it on the table. Graham didn't pick it up. He looked at me. "You read it," he said. I unfolded it with hands that stayed steady, even though my chest felt tight. The first line made my stomach drop and harden at the same time. "Maya, if you're reading this..." Vanessa tried to take control. I kept reading silently, eyes moving fast. The letter was short, direct. Grandpa's voice, calm, clear, unflinching. He wrote that Vanessa had attempted to manipulate him for years, that he documented incidents, that he restricted her and my parents from the bank file because he expected impersonation, that he appointed me executor because he trusted my calm, not because he wanted family peace. Then the line that changed the air. Vanessa receives nothing. If she contests, this letter and the attached evidence will show intent to defraud. Graham's eyes stayed on my face. "There's evidence," he said quietly. Julia opened the slim folder labeled in Grandpa's handwriting. Inside were printed screenshots, emails, and a log sheet, dated entries like a quiet journal of attempted theft. Then a photo of Vanessa holding Grandpa's checkbook, an email from Vanessa demanding he add her to accounts, a text thread where she threatened him with public embarrassment if he didn't comply, a recorded voicemail transcript. Officer Ramirez's posture changed slightly. He leaned in, not touching, just reading. "This supports intent," he murmured. Graham nodded once. "And this," he said, pointing at the notarized packet, "is likely the nail." Julia lifted the packet carefully and placed it on the table. The top page read, "Sworn Statement. Harold Mercer." Graham's eyes narrowed at the notary block. "That's a valid notarization," he said quietly. Julia flipped one page, then another, photographing each before turning. The sworn statement wasn't long, but it was brutal in its calmness. Grandpa stated that Vanessa had attempted to impersonate him for financial access, that she had tried to obtain estate control before his death, that he had reason to believe she would use counterfeit probate documents, that any paperwork naming her executor should be treated as fraudulent. Then he listed names: Vanessa, my mother, my father, all named directly in a sworn statement with dates and descriptions. Officer Ramirez exhaled slowly. "This is the kind of document that turns family conflict into charges," he said. Graham nodded. "Exactly," he replied. Julia tapped the USB drive. "What is that?" she asked. Graham's voice stayed flat. "Likely recordings," he said. Officer Ramirez nodded once. "We'll take that through proper chain," he said. "We can image it." I looked at Julia. "Or can you give it to the detective under evidence?" I asked. Julia nodded. "Yes," she said. Officer Ramirez produced an evidence bag and sealed the USB drive inside, marking it with time and case details. Then Julia lifted the second key ring with the tag. The tag read, Storage Unit, Coastal Mini Storage, Locker 17. Vanessa's muffled voice rose again outside. What is she doing in there? Graham didn't look up. That storage unit is likely where he placed additional hard copies, he said. I swallowed once. He planned for everything, I said quietly. Graham's answer was immediate. He planned for betrayal, he corrected. Julia finished photographing the contents and completed the inventory form with Graham's notes. When she slid the box tray back into the steel drawer and locked it, the click sounded final. We walked back into the lobby together. Me, Graham, Julia, and the officers, like a line of reality returning to where the performance had been happening. Vanessa saw us and surged forward. What did you find? She demanded loud, eyes wide. What did he leave me? I didn't answer her. I looked at Officer Ramirez. I want a no-contact order, I said calmly. And I want to file charges for impersonation and attempted estate fraud. Vanessa laughed, sharp and fake. Charges? For what? Family paperwork? Officer Ramirez's face stayed flat. For presenting counterfeit probate documents and attempting to access accounts by impersonation, he said, and for making recorded calls to the bank with false authority. My mother stepped in, voice shaking now, real fear under the sweetness. Officer, please, she said. We didn't do anything. Officer Bennett's gaze stayed on her. Your phone number was used to attempt safe deposit access, he said. That's not nothing. My mother went pale. Vanessa's voice rose again. This is all her fault, she snapped, pointing at me. She's always been jealous. Graham finally looked at her. Ms. Mercer, he said, voice flat. Your grandfather executed a sworn statement naming you as a fraud risk. He documented your threats. He restricted you in writing. You are not contesting an opinion. You are contesting evidence. Vanessa's mouth opened, then closed. Because she could argue with me. She couldn't argue with a notarized statement and a bank recording. Officer Ramirez turned to her. Ma'am, he said, I'm detaining you for investigation pending further instruction from financial crimes. And I'm requesting the district attorney review this for charges. Vanessa's eyes widened. Detaining me? She snapped. You can't. Officer Bennett stepped closer. Turn around, he said evenly. Vanessa looked at my mother as if expecting her to fix it. My mother didn't move. Vanessa's shoulders tightened. Then she turned, jaw clenched. The cuffs clicked. The lobby went silent again. Not because anyone felt sorry for her, because everyone understood they'd just watched a liar run out of road. Officer Ramirez looked at my mother and father. You're not leaving, he said calmly. Not until we clarify your role. My father tried to keep his voice low and reasonable. This is unnecessary, he said. We're grieving. Officer Ramirez cut him off. You attempted access to a safe deposit box using a caller ID associated with your home, he said. Or grief doesn't do that. My father's jaw tightened. Riley moved closer, calm but present, ready to stop anyone from bolting. Julia stood beside me, her voice quieter now. Ms. Mercer, she said, we will only recognize you as executor. We will not accept any future claims from restricted parties. Everything is documented. Thank you, I said, and meant it. The rest moved like procedure. A formal report filed with the bank, a police report filed with recordings and footage attached, a property-level estate freeze placed to prevent new executor claims without probate verification. A no-contact request started through the court, and then, the next week, the probate hearing happened with the truth already sealed. Vanessa's counterfeit letters were entered as evidence of attempted fraud, while Grandpa's sworn statement and documentation were presented by Graham. The judge didn't need a dramatic speech, the judge needed a record. Vanessa was charged with attempted theft by deception, impersonation, and filing forged instruments. The prosecutor pursued it aggressively because of the premeditation. bank recordings, repeated attempts, counterfeit documents, and the safe deposit scheme. My parents didn't escape either. My mother was charged for participating in the impersonation attempt and aiding the scheme. My father faced charges tied to the coordinated effort and the prior incident footage. No contact orders were issued, and restitution and legal fees were assigned as part of the estate resolution. The estate itself didn't get divided by drama, it got distributed by law. And Grandpa's plan held. A month later, then I sat at my kitchen table with the official executor papers in a clean folder and a feeling I didn't expect. Quiet relief. Not because my family finally loved me the right way, but because I stopped waiting for them to. The system didn't punish them because I cried. It punished them because I documented. And the house I walked into now, my life, felt like mine again. If someone in your family claimed they were the executor and tried to lock you out, would you confront them at home? Or go straight to the bank like I did? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.